Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Orc Soldier's Secret Baby by Celeste King, narrated by Midnite Michael and Mia Madison. 1. Nevarth. Every year we hunt. Every year I lose. From warriors to cooks, from young to old, all orcs who can pull back a bowstring or hold a spear participate. For days we track mountain lions and bears, stags and wolves. Like my ancestors before me, I track, and I hide, and I attack. With only my spear and my wits, I have felled enough beasts to feed my entire clan for a month. It's not enough. Judea! 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 The crowd chants my cousin's name, as always. The shamans look past me, through me, as they loop the gold medal across Judea's bare chest. We stand shoulder to shoulder, but I'm about as visible as his shadow. How much longer will this take, do you think? Judea speaks in a conspiratorial undertone to me, like we're sharing the same joke. I just scowl at him, and he yawns, unconcerned. He has the audacity to look bored as the shaman speaks, blessing our hunt and Judea's exceptional skill. Of course he is bored. For him, this is an intrusion on his valuable time. As chieftain of our clan, he has important work to do. Winning this petty contest is nothing to him. What does he need to prove? As chieftain, he's already proven it. My cousin is the best of us, strong, smart, and confident. How many of these contests have I lost to him over the course of our lives? I've lost count at this point. He's a better fighter, wrestler, fisher, runner. The only thing I might stand a chance of beating him at is sculpting. But since when do orcs care about that? Chieftains are not elected because of their fine art skills. What a useless talent I have. It's almost a joke. An orc who can mold clay. No matter. I make weapons now, and I'm good at it. Not the best, but it's the only activity I've found that soothes the violent hum of wretchedness that lives in my head. Judea shifts restlessly beside me. He's always in action, always in motion. I've never seen him pause to take in a sunset, much less to try to recreate it. That's why he'll always be better than me, no matter how hard I try. He has the drive, the natural touch of a leader. I look at the clay buried beneath my fingernails. It's been years since I've dabbled with sculpture, but I hadn't been able to help myself. My thoughts were swirling with anticipation of the end of the hunt, with daydreams of winning and nightmares of my father's face if I lost. And instead of hunting, for 20 precious minutes, I dug around for clay from the earth. Now there's a miniature rabbit drying in the sun for me to pick up later. I vow that I'll let it rot before I go back for it. Short, one animal hide. I decided to fuck around with that. Useless. Finally, the shaman finishes and the drum circles come to life. All around us, there's dancing and joy, ale and good spirits. Our clan rushes to congratulate Judea, slapping his broad shoulders and toasting his name so loud, I'm pretty sure the clan across the valley can hear us. I slip past him and walk home. The sun is not close to setting, but my bones ache with fatigue. I should have stalked down that last wolf. Then I would have won. He only bested me by one rabbit pelt. Being cousin of the chieftain has its perks. The home I share with my father is close to the base's center, so I don't have far to walk. Not that I tire easily. I just long to shut the door against the celebration. I don't want to hear music or laughter or anything else. I open the door in sigh and relief until I see that the candles are already lit. My father waits for me in his usual chair, with his usual furious scowl. No, this time it's even worse. He's so upset that the grooves above his eyebrows are folded nearly twice over. Malak told me you lost again. Not now, father. Exhaustion catches up with me. Whatever adrenaline that carried me through the ceremony is gone, eaten away by recriminations and regret. I could have caught another rabbit at least. Stupid, lazy, worthless. I would have won. I was so close. My father, Rallick, never lost a hunt. Not until his age caught up with him, at least. He'd expected a son like him. I bet on you. Do you know that? His green face grows blotchy, a furious brownish red as the veins beneath his skin flush with fury. My own son. How could he lose again? You told me you practiced. I did. The words are hollow in my mouth. Clearly, my practice hadn't been enough. My father believing in me set something in my chest aglow. He is not generous with his praise, much less with his money, but it doesn't matter. I failed him again. What were you practicing? How to stand around with your thumb up your ass? His hands connect with my shoulders and shove. I'm tired enough that I stumble backward, slamming into the wall and knocking down his trophy stag horns. With a sickening crunch, the edge of one of the antlers cracks. Useless, he roars, like your damned whore mother. She must have been fucking around, because there's no chance you're my son. My son wouldn't lose. Not to that fuck-faced flower of a chieftain we've got. You really think Baltar's boy deserves that title? My brother never beat me. Not once. Not until you. There's nothing to say. Ice builds in my stomach. He's not saying anything out loud that I haven't thought to myself. Even now, my thoughts churn and dance with the knowledge that I'm a disappointment. What would my mother think if she were still alive? She'd probably slam the door in my face for coming home without a trophy for yet another year. But the words against my mother, those I cannot let stand. Enough. Enough? You broke my fucking trophy, and now you're saying enough? Like when you sparred with Judea in front of the entire clan and had to tap out like a fucking pussy? Rallick scoffs and picks up a sculpture I made for him a few years ago, before I realized he had no use for them. It had taken me months to perfect. It's a perfect replica of a wolf, carved and painted. He slams it against the wall, and it shatters. Plaster forms a thick cloud between us as it slowly drifts down to the wood floor. Nothing I do is ever going to be good enough. You're useless. The ice in my stomach crawls up to my heart, freezing it solid. This is your failure. When were you chieftain, father? He snarls, but he doesn't speak. Never. You want me to succeed where you couldn't, because deep down, you know that the only failure here is... His hands snap around my throat, squeezing the air from my lungs. His knee slams into my stomach, but this time I'm ready for him, and I'm stronger. It's not with anger, but with a cold, calculating calm that I pull his hands from my throat. I push him aside, and he jostles the couch but doesn't fall. He raises his hand to me once more, and this time I squeeze with all my strength. I am not a child any longer, old man. Terror flashes in his eyes for a brief moment, and it disorients us both. My father is not meant to look weak. I snatch my hands back to my sides, and he stands rooted in the same spot, gasping for air. His hands tremble as he composes himself, fixing his tunic and hair. When his eyes snap back to mine, it's as though none of this happened at all. He speaks confidently, as though he's just won. It's been decided that you will marry Shirag, he said, daughter of the Swordstone's chieftain. Her family is looking to make peace, and they are not as concerned with your lack of titles as some families here have been. I almost laugh. He's been shopping me around? He's never spoken to me about marriage, or who I might like to spend the rest of my life with. No, he's taken it on himself. Not only that, He's managed to pick a woman from one of our most hated enemies. The audacity of it leaves me speechless. Boy, I'm speaking to you. I grit my teeth. He's speaking to me, but I have nothing to say. After everything he's just said, after losing the hunt, I can't bear looking at him for 1 second longer. I turn on my heel and slam the door behind me. You're going to do it, so help me, Nevarth. He screams through our cabin so loud the neighbors would hear if they weren't at the festival. It's your responsibility. Responsibility. I hate that word. How many years of my life have I spent buckled under the weight of responsibilities, doing whatever my father asked in the hope he might one day look at me and see me. Not even approve. Just see who I am and not flinch. It's my responsibility to return home and help my father clean up the mess he made, to obey him in all things, large and small. Instead, I walk, and I don't stop walking. Not until the memory of his voice fades into the songs of the birds above me.
2. Larissa. I watch the trees sway gently in the breeze beyond the window panes. It's a beautiful day out, the sun shining and the birds chasing each other around the budding branches of the tree as they build their nests. A happy sight to see, now that the seasons are finally transitioning. I've always welcomed spring as my favorite time of the year. The Atlanta winters are usually rainy and cold, giving everyone cabin fever by the time the sun finally decides to start peeking out from the clouds for longer than a few days. But I've never been one to complain about the seasons changing, since it could be worse, though I can't help but be a little grateful that there are finally going to be brighter days ahead. The sound of chalk hitting the board draws my attention away from the window. "Miss Larissa!" one of the children calls out to me. "I'm all done." I smile and head down the road toward the back, where a small orc child, Neve, holds up his handheld chalkboard. There is chalk smeared all over his green skin, giving his face a powdery look. As I squat down to get eye level with him, I reach over to brush some of it off his face with my sleeve. "Ugh!" He's quick to wave my hands away. "Miss Larissa!" I simply laugh. I wouldn't have to if you kept your chalk on the board. Around us, other children laugh. It's my favorite sound in the whole world. It hasn't been long since I've been living with the Iron-Hooded clan, around a month or so, actually. So far, it's been nice living with orc and humans alike. The settlement I'd grown up in hadn't been too far from here, only about a day's walking distance, so getting used to the terrain around here has been relatively easy. There are some days that I miss it, though I am glad that all of the humans who I'd lived with had made the journey here, leaving our old unsustainable land behind in search of a more fertile one. We'd been struggling for quite some time, and each cold season that had hit had made it harder for us to spring back, until one day we couldn't. It had been a hard decision from our leaders, but all of us that remained had agreed that we needed to move once the rains had lightened up. That's when we came upon the Iron-Hooded clan's lands. They'd been welcoming from the start. Already having humans living among them, they weren't the typical orc clans that were hostile towards us when we'd come looking for reprieve. In fact, their chieftain, Judea, had given us enough food and housing to settle us in immediately. None of us had been used to such generosity before, let alone from non-humans. I'd grown up for most of my life fearing the outside settlements that I knew lay beyond the walls of my own, yet here I am, living in one. It's funny how much life could change in such a short amount of time. "Miss Larissa?" another one of the children calls from across the room. "Can you help me write this word?" I pat Neve on the head before standing back up and making my way over. Before coming here, I never thought of myself as particularly smart, let alone enough to be teaching children. but I'd been one of the rare few in my settlement that knew how to read and write, a talent my mother had taught me growing up. It had helped me in giving back to this wonderful community that had been gracious enough to take me in. It also brought me closer to her in a way. My mother. She'd passed away after a brief illness a little over a year ago, and I missed her more and more each day. I was reminded of her through small things, like the wind blowing across the grass, or the sounds of excited conversations coming from the canteen. All of it were pieces of my new life that I wished she could have experienced with me. "Lunchtime, Miss Larissa," one of the students called out, pulling me out of my thoughts. My eyes glance over to the clock above the door, leading to the outside world, where it indeed says it's well past noon. I wave my hands at the children, laughing as they excitedly toss their chalkboards and run to the door. "Careful! Please walk to the canteen," I call out to them, but it's no use. They're already long gone by now. I love having their bright and exuberant energy around. It's easy to get lost into and bring out the inner child inside of me. My old settlement had been harsh to live on, with barren fields and wastelands as far as the eye could see. It had made life difficult and seemed dreary the longer we continued to trek by. But not here. No, this place is much different. This clan is more than prosperous, and it seems that all of its inhabitants are more than happy to celebrate it. I head out to the canteen, too, after tidying up the classroom. The schoolhouse is a small building with only one large room that I teach all of the younger children in during the daytime. It had been built in the center of town in order to make it easier for the children to reach it in the early hours of the morning. I liked the cozy atmosphere and the eagerness of the kids to learn, hanging on my every word as I taught them all that my mother had taught me. When I reach the canteen, it's already bustling with people. Not surprising, as it's lunchtime for the majority of the orcs and humans who live here. I spot one of my friends waving at me, Kalia, who was one of the first women to introduce me to the ins and outs of living here. Among her are a few of our other mutual friends, all crowded around her table, already eating. It doesn't take me long to get through the line, grabbing a tray and a healthy helping of food, courtesy of my favorite orc working today, Minrath, who is never one to shy away from giving me extras whenever I come around. Kalia pushes a chair away from the table for me as I grow closer, patting the spot next to her as she grins. "How'd the kids do today? They looked happy for a break when they all came barreling in a little while ago." I laugh. I'm sure they were. We were working on spelling today. Ugh. A voice from across the table groans at me. "I don't know how you do it, Larissa. Reading gives me a headache." I smile at Lily, noticing the spot next to her sits strangely unoccupied. "No Noah today?" Kalia shrugs. "He never came around. They must have him working on something important. He never misses lunch." True. One of the other women next to Lily, Io, laughs. "That man can eat." All of us laugh at that. Even though I love the kids, it's nice to be around adults and have a real conversation. Since I've been so busy with taking care of the schoolhouse, I haven't gotten much time to hang out with my new friends. They've all been so welcoming, even from the day I walked into the settlement looking for asylum. "Hey, did you guys hear what happened at the hunting event this morning?" Io leans in, her voice low. "No." Lily raises a brow. "What? Did someone get hit with an arrow?" "No, worse." Io quickly looks around the canteen, wary of any eyes overhearing her before she ducks her head back down. "Apparently, Judea won again." As the other two women gasp, I can't help but raise an eyebrow. "What's so bad about that? Isn't it a good thing that the chieftain won?" Kalia turns to me. "Oh, of course it is. But there's been some hot blood between him and his cousin Nevarth. Apparently, Nevarth had been favored to win this year, but he threw it at the last second. That has me blinking. Why? She shrugs. No one knows. Io cups a hand over her mouth. I heard that his father freaked out on him about it afterwards. Heard some other orcs talking about seeing Nevarth storming out of his house while his father was yelling at him about losing. This all seems so strange to me. Why would someone care so much about a hunting competition? To be fair, I haven't been living here very long to really understand the traditions of orcs, but it wasn't like they were starving for meat to stockpile for when winter came. So what is the big deal if someone threw the competition in order for the chieftain to win? I heard that Nevarth's father is a brute, Io goes on. He's known for throwing things when he gets drunk and likes to get into scuffles with younger orc males. Something about showing them real strength. My back hits the seat as a small frown tugs at my lips. If that's the case, I feel bad for Nevarth. All three women turn to look at me in shock. What? Lily giggles. Really? Why? He's just the chieftain's cousin. For some reason, their laughter makes a pit in my stomach form. Sure, that may be true, I say slowly, but that's sad that Nevarth has to live with a father like that. Kalia sighs at me. Larissa, you're starting to sound like as much of a bleeding heart as Noah. I nudge her gently in the ribs. Ha ha, very funny. The rest of my lunch passes along seamlessly as the women turn to a different subject to talk about, though my mind stays stuck on Nevarth and his apparently overbearing father. Obviously, it isn't just humans that have their struggles to deal with, but hearing of an orc that is related to the chieftain living in the shadow of him sounds almost impossible to fathom. Orcs are strong beings who move through life with a bravado that I'm envious of. It isn't every day you hear of someone like that struggling with something that seems so human. Maybe I'm overthinking things. As lunch ends, I head out of the canteen and back towards the schoolhouse, waving to my friends when we part ways. The kids are most likely back by now, playing in the tall grasses surrounding the small building. I'm sure they'll be energized and excited for more lessons, and begging me to get back to learning the moment I get there. It has me smiling to myself. Oh, to be filled with that much passion again. When I arrive at the schoolhouse, I spot the children running around outside, chasing each other. Their laughter carries over the wide space of the open airs, echoing off of the other buildings surrounding us. Strangely, though, I see someone else at the schoolhouse, though, too. A man, no, orc, I realize as I grow closer, stands hidden just under one of the trees closest to the schoolhouse. His arms are crossed over his shoulder, and he watches the children with an unreadable expression. Who is this man? I should go over and ask if he needs something.
3. Nevarth. I catch myself wandering around the settlement aimlessly. Marriage. The word rattles around inside of my head. How ridiculous can my father possibly be? Simply because I lost a competition to Judea, his punishment is to marry me off to another clan? It's something I can't accept, even if it means I'll be ostracized from the only family member I have left on this earth. I've never been one to picture myself getting married, let alone leaving my own clan to join another and having children in order to carry on my family name. I'm sure, to an outsider, it seems like an easy ordeal, my father setting me up with a wife and future. But to me, all it feels like are chains slowly being shackled around me before I'm plunged into the icy depths of darkness. I'd heard of Chirac before in passing. She's a strong orc with a good family background, making for strong kids and a healthy familial line. However, the thought of being forced to marry someone has my blood running cold. Orc-arranged marriages aren't unheard of, or, for that matter, uncommon. My parents were part of an arranged marriage, and from what I could tell, had gotten along quite well. I never had the chance to meet my mother, as she died during childbirth, and a part of me has always wondered if that's why my father has resented me after all these years. He never talks about her. Even when I was a child and asked about her several times, every excuse was thrown at me as to why he didn't want to dredge up old memories, and it never failed to make me sad. I would have loved to know about my mother, even small snippets that I could cherish and hold on to for the dark times when I felt alone in this world. Nevertheless, I have a feeling my father isn't going to take me walking away in my rejection of the marriage with any seriousness. If he's gone so far as to talk to Chirag's parents about us being wedded, then I'm already fucked. Once the topic of marriage has been breached with another party, it's pretty much a done deal after that. I sigh to myself and let my feet carry me towards the center of town. Being married to Chirag wouldn't be a death sentence by any means, but it would feel like one to me. Tying myself to someone, having children with someone, it's all too much. All I wanted is to make my father proud of me, force him to see the son he borrowed and to accept me for who I am, not for who he wishes I was. Is this marriage the only way to do just that, though? Make him proud of me for once? A shiver races up my spine despite the weather being mild today. Shouts catch my attention, forcing me to lift my head up from where I'd been staring at the ground. I spot the schoolhouse ahead of me and round towards it to where a few trees hang over the side of the building to give it a cover of shade from the bright sun. Children, both orcs and humans, run around and play in the tall grass by the door to the schoolhouse. Their joy and excitement is palpable, even through my shitty mood. I'm smiling before I realize it and lean against the trunk of the tree closest to me. Even though I've never wanted to be a father, I've always loved watching children discover the world. They have an innocence about them that creates wonder wherever they go, and a kind of joy that I've never seen replicated in any other creature on this planet. A part of me mourns that I'll never have a child, something that Chirag will need to come to terms with if we are to be married. I know that deep down, I have too many scars from my own childhood, too many unhealed wounds from my father that I would never want to inflict on any child, let alone my own. How would I be able to live with myself if I turned around and became the one person who destroyed me? I'd never forgive myself. Can I help you? A soft voice startles me out of my thoughts. I straighten, noticing a small human woman walking towards me. I'm surprised she sees me hidden under the cover of this tree. Its branches practically touch the ground with how long their arms are. Usually in the springtime, they're filled with small blossoms that coat the ground with pink petals. I was just passing by. I went. Even to my own ears, my voice sounds lame and suspicious. There are no crimes in wandering around the settlement and watching children play, but I'm sure it does seem like I'm spying on them or her, as if I'm some overprotective parent come to check on the school teacher that is looking after my child. I see. Is one of yours here? And there it is. No. Her brows come together, confusion coloring her face. I try to save myself with a quick cough before straightening back up to my full height. I tower over her, and she is forced to take a step back in order to look up at me without straining her neck. As I said, I was passing by. These trees call me. She nods slowly. Trees? Yes, they are lovely this time of year. I mirror her, nodding in agreement. God, this is painfully awkward. How is it that I managed to land myself in these strange predicaments? Half of me believes that I must have some sort of terrible luck. Did you want to come in? I blinked down at her. What? She smiles a little. To the classroom. A lot of people like to come around and watch the kids learn.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?